Welcome to Biblical Health Television, Radio, and Livestream. We are here for Obamacare versus HealthCare Part 2. And we're so excited that you're here, even if you missed Part 1, but you should go back and listen to that. Because you know what? The HealthCare.gov Insurance Marketplace website is now open, and that means that Obamacare, whether we like it or not, is upon us. And while those of us who prefer natural health to the medical model understand that Americans are now being forced into a long broken system, we who seek biblical health must open our spiritual eyes to the reality of what's truly going on. Do not let the continuing battle over Obamacare, as they call it, fool you. It's just another media smokescreen. What's really playing out has been prophesied for thousands of years, and every Christian, every believer in Messiah really needs to stay out of this. We need to have nothing to do with this, whether you are an American or not. Now, last week, Dr. Jeff and I set the stage for being able to see Obamacare for what it really is. And this week, brothers and sisters, we blow it wide open. So join us now as we educate, equip, and empower you to take control of your health. This is Obamacare versus HealthCare Part 2 on Biblical Health Radio and Livestream, because guess what? It's not what they don't want you to think it is. Oh yes, you can wrap your mind around that, and you can do this. Now may the God of peace himself sanctify you completely, and may your whole spirit, soul, and body be preserved blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, Yeshua the Messiah. 1 Thessalonians 5:23, our watchword, our guiding verse here at Biblical Health TV, Radio, and Livestream, and everything else we do, because we are here to take care of the whole man, the whole woman, to nourish you in body, soul, and spirit. Thank you for joining the revolution. I am not a doctor. I want to be very, very clear. I am not a doctor. Chaim Goldman, the executive producer of Biblical Health TV, and are very, very excited to be joining you here for part 2 of what I believe is the most important, show in 2 parts, but show overall that we have ever done. Dr. Jeff Hazim, are you starting to believe that?
What'd you say?
Are you starting to believe what I said?
I believe that important? Since 2010, we've been talking this message. So yes.
This is important because it's not any one topic.
It's time to wake up, you sleeper.
Wake up, you sleeper. Yes, we need to wake everybody up. Dr. Jeff Hazim, part of that alternative.
That's not my real name, by the way. That's not my real name. I'm not.
Jeff is holed up somewhere. You know, Jeff has a license and things like that. Not a doctor's. Really, we don't care. We'll just say just about anything. But thanks, Jeff, for humoring us and seeming to believe what we're teaching here, but we won't hold you responsible.
My name's not even Jeff. It's not Jeff. It's not Dr. Jeff.
El Jefe, as we like to call.
I just play a doctor on the TV radio.
Well, you're just an alternative doctor anyway. You're pushed down way to the bottom. You're really quite meaningless in all this. So, but we want to say, if you dare, join us on the live stream. If you're just listening to us on Biblical Health Radio, there's a link there on the side to join us on the video live stream if you'd like to see what we look like. We're going to hold up some things today, so you probably want to see it. BiblicalHealth.tv, we are there all the time. And lessonsforhealthyliving.com is... You just got to get it. Lessons for Healthy Living 2.0 will educate, equip, and empower you and really get to the bottom of this and give you alternates for getting into this Babylonian system that we are going to blow wide open today. Now, I will say, and I will admit, why are Dr. Jeff and Chaim wearing the same exact clothes that they wore before? Well, you know what, folks? We decided for certain scheduling reasons to tape last week's show and then back-to-back with this week. And there was no use trying to say... that we were trying to do a new show and that it was live, because you know what? We're talking about the government being shut down. Maybe it's not shut down anymore. Probably it still is. But we didn't know because we're taping this show a week ahead of its broadcast. So we wanted to be totally transparent, and so we're wearing the same clothes.
The history of government shutdowns is a whole other show in itself, but we don't get into that kind
we don't get into politics here at all.
They're always so effective, these government shutdowns.
So what I want to do is quickly recap last week's program just to get us up to speed. But you know what? It's in the archive. If you're watching this, you should have watched the other, but let's bring you up to speed. First of all, government shutdown. That's the big thing in the news. U.S. government shutdown, supposedly over Obamacare, and that certain Republicans that don't want Obamacare. And we did 3 programs back in 2010 about Obamacare. We warned you. It's now here. And
there's
actually,
a famous rant in that.
That's true. There is a great rant in that where Dr. Jeff said, why in the world should I be subsidizing people who are sitting on the couch eating Doritos while I'm going to the gym and working out, something along those lines. And it's true. And now, guess what?
It wasn't filled with the grace and love of God.
That's true. But you know what?
But it was a real moment.
But sometimes you got to go and flip over tables.
These things that just came out the way it came out.
But it's not, the media puts these things out there and people take sides. And then when you look into it, neither one of the sides is really what the issue is. And we're trying to really bring you the issue because it's not what they don't want you to think. And that really is the case.
Still can't wrap my mind around that.
There's a media smokescreen going on all the time. The issues are covered. And then we brought up things like healthcare and healthcare reform, like the Reformation that reformed the Catholic Church. That was called a Reformation. Do we really need to reform things, or do we need to flip the tables over and bring in a new system? Affordable healthcare, is it affordable? We talked about that last week, and we went into the book 1984, George Orwell and Orwellian newspeak, and basically it's to control your thought. Let's change what the word. We don't have to change the terms, although very often we do. We can change the definitions of words and therefore hijack terms, and before you know it, you're believing things that you never would have believed. And that brings us up to today's program. Boy, am I doing the reviews a lot quicker than I used to? I used to do an entire half-hour show to review the half-hour show. Am I on schedule? Fantastic. Well, HealthCare.gov. Okay, so this is healthcare, but through the government, and the marketplace is now open. And I will hold this up to the camera here. Very, very high tech. If you go on at least as of today, if you go on, this is the site that you see. Welcome to healthcare.gov. And then if you choose the state that you want information for, guess what? You get this one. Sorry, we're closed. How about you wait? And honestly, folks, this is the page that I've been getting. I've tried 3 different browsers for 5-6 days now trying to get on the site, and they have a lot of visitors, and they can't give me any information.
The problem is in the name, healthcare.gov. That's like saying, efficiency.gov.
Right, military intelligence, right?
They don't go together.
Right. So if we have a foretaste of what the entire system might be, and we touched on that last week, we're getting it through the website right now where you can't even get in, but actually there is healthcare.com, which is a private site, which gets you right to anywhere you want to go. Maybe that's something to think about. But they're trying to fix it, I guess. Maybe by the time this show airs, they have. But there's a couple of very interesting things for people who have gotten through, and some people have gotten through, which is in order to get a quote, you must register yourself. You can't just go in and get a quote. You must give them your information first as we build this national database in America of everyone's health. And there's something in there about rats in the book 1984. I won't say any more, but you don't want the government to know your situation. Because someone's going to get that information, whether it's the government or someone else, and use it against you at some point. Sorry, I'm somewhat of a conspiracy theorist.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, Jeff doesn't know what I'm talking about.
I don't agree with that kind of speaking.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll take the heat. But
he's not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor. I can say whatever I want. But they're registering it. And so what happens if you get partway into the system, decide that you don't like it, and decide to opt out? Well, guess what, folks? You're already in the system just because you got a quote. Now, this is what we really want to get into. We laid the foundation last week for understanding how to think through this process. Let's get into the meat of it, because in order to be one of the insurance policies offered on HealthCare.gov, you have to offer what are called the 10 essential benefits. These are the 10 just essential, and the word benefits.
And by the way,
boy, we could do a whole show on that.
They use that to explain why the health care you're getting is, can I say this, more expensive than it would otherwise be. Because not only are you being forced to get health care coverage, but you're forced to get care that is a certain type, and that happens to be more expensive than the care you would have gotten had you just chosen to get health care before this act, and you just picked and chose through what you wanted. So it's more expensive because you're getting more good stuff.
Well, what I want to show people, this is from HooPayz, HOOPAYZ.com. They put this very nice graphic together of the 10 essentials, and I want to quickly tell you what they are. Prescription drugs, rehabilitative and habilitative services and devices, emergency services, maternity and newborn care, laboratory services, ambulatory patient services, hospital visits, mental health and substance use disorder services, pediatric services, dental and vision. And at the 10th, which I will hold off on for a moment, of these services, I think Dr. Jeff and I agree that emergency services are where Western medicine absolutely shines. If you get hit by a bus, don't give me broccoli, as I like to say. If I'm bleeding out, save me. But all of these other things, especially laboratory services and hospital visits, which get incredibly expensive, and, maternity and newborn care, is pregnancy now a disease? You have to get it cured in the hospital? I mean, we believe in home births.
Well, if you can regulate pregnancy, and, if it's just a healthcare option, and maybe they'll one day write in, you could have birth covered, but only if you have 1.5 children. Right,
exactly. Well, here's the thing. These are the 10 essential benefits, and any healthcare plan that is deemed kosher by the HealthCare.gov needs to offer this. Now, the 10th one, we're going to hold off for a second because people have asked us, and by the way, you're hearing metal hitting metal in the background. That's because Dr. Jeff's office is in a gym and people are working out and getting healthy in the background there, so excuse the noise. People have asked us, what about these Christian share programs that are out there where it's not exactly insurance, where people bear each other's burdens? The premiums are definitely lower, and there are, but I'll say this, it's good. And it's better. People pray for you. And it's pretty amazing rather than insurance. It's not about the money. In fact, the companies themselves really are facilitators and take very little money. It's not profit driven. And you can look into those. And thankfully, the big ones got grandfathered in, got exceptions, and are part of Obamacare. But no new ones can come in. But the existing ones, at least for the time being, are. But Jeff, what have we found to be the problem with these Christian share programs? And it really goes down to they must include the 10 essentials, don't they?
Albert Einstein said it best. You can't correct a problem with the same level of incorrect thinking that caused it in the first place. These Christian programs are nothing more than some restructured form of the allopathic model. They really gear themselves towards treating disease and the type of services and screening that is for disease, and have nothing to do with health, prevention, natural health, biblical health, doing things God's way. So it's kind of ironic. It's Christian in name. They do have certain facets that are amazing, like the prayer and so on, but then they leave out the fact that the Bible specifically speaks against certain things, like and certainly that we should live a lifestyle a certain way to prevent disease in the first place. They really have nothing to do with that. As a matter of fact, they don't even cover things like chiropractic. If you wanted to come to a chiropractor and deal with your problem naturally, they don't even kick in for that.
Right. Now, I have looked into them, and some of them are getting into certain areas of that, and we think that that's wonderful and hope that Biblical Health TV can come alongside them. But overall, they are part of that drug and surgery model. And things like chiropractic, they say, well, you know what, you can budget for those, and these are really about emergencies, if you get into a situation. But when you get cancer, they're paying for things like chemotherapy, not for vitamin C and oxygen treatments down in Costa Rica, which, would be my preference, should, God forbid, I or anyone in my family, even after living a healthy lifestyle, develop something like that. They don't include that. And so it's just part of the allopathic model, really. And also, where is the church in all of this? Well, amazingly, and I'll hold this up, I got a local paper here in South Charlotte, the South Charlotte News, that's delivered to my house. And this was on my driveway just yesterday. today, and look what it says. It says, Church Free Clinic, forge ties that last. And this is about a free clinic where people get free care, and how a local church here in Charlotte does a community day, and they actually take off the day. They cancel their Sunday services to do this. Why you can't have Sunday services and then go out and serve the community or do it the rest of the week, I'm not sure. But out of all the things that the people may have done that day, the one that got into the newspaper, because of course the media loves to push this kind of stuff, was supporting a free medical clinic. The church has given almost $50,000 toward renovating the clinic, and that forging ties that last, folk. The church and allopathic medicine are forging ties that last. We are not standing up, for the most part, for biblical truth, scriptural health, real health care. We are forging ties that last with an allopathic model, and that is why the church is so sick and not better than anybody else, really. And when you look at the church, actually, we've seen reports where the church overall is sicker than the general community for different reasons, and from the pulpit is not only coming ways of real health, but actually forging ties. I mean, could we, ties that bind, lest we say, with that. Now, Jeff, let us break away from that, because you know what? We need to bring hope. We need to say there's something different. We need to stand up through this media smokescreen and say, you know what, folks, it's not what they don't want you to think. This is what you need to think. You need to stand up for the Almighty. You need to live a biblical lifestyle, no matter how difficult, no matter how much it's judged as quackery or anything else. We need to stand up for what the Bible says. But here's something amazing. 10 years ago, and we go into this deeply in that Obamacare three-parter that we did, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, this is, I believe, part of the U.S. government, is it not, Jeff? So not spending tax dollars.
I don't know anything about those things.
Okay. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, which I don't believe is a separate corporation like the Federal Reserve. It's actually part of the government. It takes tax dollars. And they came out with a report called Prevention Makes Common Sense, CENTS. This has been out as the official document from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services for 10 years. And so you would think that it would influence Obamacare. You would think that it would influence how the government decides about what health care is. And so let us see what it has to say on this. Jeff, would you please quote from the conclusion of this 10-year-old report prepared by the U.S. government?
Yes, it is fascinating when these things are, and by the way, so think about the years. This was available when they were formulating the plan for Obamacare. This was already available. One part says, there is clear evidence that the costs of chronic conditions are enormous, as are the potential savings from preventing them, if there may not always be agreement on the exact amounts of these costs and savings, since a large part of the root cause of chronic conditions involves attitudes and behavioral choices. I think these things are not victims, these are choices. The prospect of reducing their prevalence appears daunting and promising at the same time. What that's basically saying is the cause of these chronic problems, which cost lots and lots of money, are your own personal choices that you're making. Even though there might be some discrepancy of how much they cost, we do know it is the choice that you're making, and that's a daunting concept because we have to take personal responsibility, but it's also promising, meaning we have an answer. It goes on to say that the stakes are so great that the challenges must be met. It is ironic that in this day of high-tech, complex, and costly medical procedures and treatments, simple, inexpensive, easily understood actions such as increasing physical activity, controlling weight, and quitting smoking could have such a huge impact on the quality of life and the cost of health care. These are things that we believe and have been saying should be where we focus our healthcare dollar. And I've always said this, Chaim, even when they were, in our show back in 2010, I don't believe that we as free Americans should be forced to do anything as such. But if we were going to be forced to do something, we should be forced to eat right, exercise, stop smoking, and so on. I mean, like I said, I believe that you should have a right to do those things. In our Constitution, it says, as long as you don't infringe upon the rights of another, go ahead. And but if you're going to force something, make Americans stop being overweight, make them stop, start exercising.
Right. How about
stop smoking.
give me a tax break if I spend my dollars buying healthy food instead of the cheapest food out
exactly.
there.
Let's just go ahead and line up and do body fat tests and cholesterol tests and this and that and the other thing, and give me I should be getting paid because I haven't spent a healthcare dollar other than my own nutrition in decades.
Right, but we can't do this anymore.
I've spent zero on health care.
We can't do this anymore because under Obamacare, pre-existing conditions and all of that stuff can't be even mentioned. It can't be asked. It can't be judged. And so this was the rant that Jeff went on, and it's worth, is that, the people who sit around doing nothing now are on the same par, as long as they're not smoking, with the people who go out and spend their dollars on better food and exercise and put their life into being healthy. So, Jeff.
Now, can I say something?
Really quick, though, because we need to get into the next section.
Let me say this.
Okay.
We know that as members of the body of Messiah, we are called to take care of one another. So it's not about us not wanting to help where help is needed. But we shouldn't have our arms twisted to help in an area that we don't agree is the way we should be helping.
Right, a broken system. So back to the language, we have this thing called preventive care. And so, of course, we have to look at what does that really mean. And one of the things that they're touting and saying, you're going to love this about Obamacare, is that there's a lot of preventive care that is free if you're part of the insurance system. You will not be charged for these things. Isn't it wonderful? And I have a list here of these preventive services. It's about 11 pages that I printed off, HealthCare.gov. And they're for adults, they're for children, and they're for women. And here's the interesting thing, and you got to go on and read this stuff and educate yourself. But after I have, let's see, there's 20, how many are on here? 25, is it 25? No, there's 25 there, 22 here. There's like 50, 60, 70 different things that you can now get. And 90% of them in the name of it have the word screening. It's a screening preventive. Now, Jeff, what does screening mean?
It means let me see what you have so I can treat you. That's what it means.
Yeah, it's you're looking for the presence or absence of disease. So is that preventive? Is it preventive? If it finds the disease, is that preventive?
It's marketing.
If it doesn't, we'll wait on this. If it doesn't find the disease, is that preventive? I don't think so. Neither one is preventive. It's either finding a disease or not finding a disease, and it's free. So you have to look into why in the world would an industry that is all set on money, the pharmacia industry, the medical industry, it really is set on money. Why would they give you something free? And so as a businessman, I started to think, well, what are other types of businesses that give away free screening? Or what is this called? Jeff, did you ever in chiropractic, don't they sometimes, come in and get a free check? Or,
of course.
Or like at Midas, come get your muffler checked for free. Why would a business possibly do something for free for anyone?
Marketing.
Is it? Is it really marketing?
It's marketing. So you want new customers.
Right. So you're trolling for business.
Sure,
that's what this is. And
trolling, that's a harsh word.
Here's the thing. It's
just drop the net in the ocean.
Here's the thing. Either you're going to find something or you're not going to find something, but most likely you want to find something, and because it's your business. It's good for you. You don't want to without lack integrity, but in this world, this poison planet of ours, where half of Americans already have a chronic disease. If you go through these 60 tests, which, why do children need mental health assessments? I mean, we know all children are crazy. If you even have one, you know that. But they want to get them on, some kind of psychotropic drug. If you're going to go through all of these free screenings, which are now free, so give me as many as I can possibly have. Jeff, what's the chance that they'll find something that they can then charge you to treat?
About 100%.
About 100. It might even be more than that, actually,
about 100%.
Statistically. About 100%. And so guess what? These free things, they're not free. They're a business move. And so here it is. And Jeff, can I go into my rant as we get near the end of the program? Can I rant?
As long as you don't put my name on it.
Okay, Jeff has nothing to do with this. Folks, this is the one of, at least, if not the last great play of Babylon. Okay, Revelation 18, read it. The great men of the earth are deceiving the nations through pharmakia, drug sorcery. The pharmaceutical industry, medical industry is not part of the Babylonian system. It is the Babylonian system. This was put in place, and John saw it in his Revelation 2,000 years ago. They are sinking their teeth into the big cha-ching lifeline. They're forcing you into it with the IRS as their secret police, not so secret police. They have spent years redefining health and then getting us sick. And now enough people are desperate for health care because they can't get it. The pre-existing conditions are keeping them from getting it, or they're into it so deep that they can't possibly figure out how to pay for it. And so guess what? The government comes along to rescue you from a system that it helped create along with pharmakia, and it's forcing everyone into the Babylonian system, whether you want health care, quote unquote health care, or not. If you want to be completely free of it and you get no services, you will still need to pay, at this count, in a couple of years, over $2,000 for a family to not even partake in its services. This is crazy. Believers are not to be part of this. This Babylonian system is going to fall. You know what? I don't have an answer for how to deal with Obamacare straight on, but you got to see it with spiritual eyes. Babylon got you sick, and now they've convinced you to force the entire U.S. economy into the system, and worldwide, more drugs, more surgery, more systems, more free screening in order to find ways of charging you. And here's the deal. It's not prevention. It's early detection. And why would they want early detection? Because there's no cure. They don't want to cure it, and they don't want you to die. The earlier they detect the disease that you already have, the more they can string it along for decades and get as much money out of you as they possibly can. Early detection benefits them, because they never want you off the pharmaceuticals. They never want you out of the treatments. They just want to make money from you. I know Jeff doesn't agree with me at all, but this is what I have to say.
Not at all.
As not a doctor. And here's the thing, Jeff, we just got a couple of minutes left to go. But Jeff, give us some real prevention tips. How do you really prevent disease? And I'll just say, what's the number one way? Stay healthy. Stay healthy. How do you do that, Jeff?
You know, you have this saying that those that are sick need to do the same things that somebody as healthy is doing to stay healthy in the first place. It doesn't change. The rule doesn't change. And so the big ticket items are the things you already know, like your diet, like your exercise program, and so on, and eating the natural foods, staying away from genetically modified foods, staying away from foods that were created in a laboratory, not smoking, not drinking in excess, making sure you're not obese. These things are simple to add to your lifestyle, but they require you being responsible.
Oh, no.
And so, yes, literally, you have to do it. You have to do it. It's not a do-it-to-me system where you show up and hope somebody in a white jacket is going to give you a little prescription and say this is going to solve the problem. You have to do something, and you have to take responsibility. And, we've already discovered that right down to a genetic level, you can change your DNA by doing these correct things.
Mm-hmm. And pass it on to your children. So here's the deal. You could say, you know what, there's nothing we can do. I have to opt into this system, and then get sicker. And depend on, hey, I'm paying it already, I might as well use it. Well, you know what? I can't solve the having to pay into it unless Obamacare gets overturned, and we can pray for that. But the thing is, your best thing to do is to be healthy. Enjoy your life. Be more productive. Don't miss work days so you can afford to pay this extra money. But don't partake of the system, because it's the Babylonian system. Don't partake of it. If you got to pay into it, but then don't depend on it. Be healthy. You'll feel better. You'll live longer. You'll be more productive. You'll enjoy your family. You'll enjoy your life. And that's how we do this, brothers and sisters. That's how we overcome this. Live a biblically healthy lifestyle, and the way that you get back at them is you don't need to be part of their system, because you don't need what they offer. And that's what Biblical Health TV. Come out of Babylon and get Lessons for Healthy Living 2.0. Go on lessonsforhealthyliving.com right now. We have a whole plan laid out, 20-minute segments for you, 24, 26 of them. It's hours, over 10 hours, to give you a plan and a hope and a system for choosing how to get you and your family healthy. So we thank you so much. Come out of Babylon, come out of Obamacare. It's not healthcare. Biblical Health is healthcare. Thank you for joining us. We will be here next week, 2 p.m. Eastern. Join us on Livestream. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your pastor we need biblical health. Thank you for joining me. I'm not a doctor.
Amen.
Chaim Goldman. That was Dr. Jeff Hazim. Thank you for joining us here and joining the revolution.